Virginia was the first of the 13 colonies to implement large-scale slave codes. Since the United States was not quite the United States yet, each colony had their own version of these codes. At the time, they were not yet even referred to as slave codes, but even without the formal title, their purpose remained the same: to fundamentally restrict the rights of Black Americans, free and enslaved, and to explicitly deny them the rights afforded to white members of society. Let's take a look at an example. In 1662, Virginia passed this statute: whereas some doubts have arisen whether children by any Englishman upon a Negro woman should be slave or free, be it therefore enacted and declared by this present Grand Assembly that all children born in this country shall be held bond or free only according to the condition of the mother, and that if any Christian shall commit fornication with a Negro man or woman, he or she so offending shall pay double the fines imposed by the former act. After Elizabeth Key's case in 1656, which we talked about last episode, the Virginia House of Burgesses passed this official law. It mandated what's known as partis sequitur ventrum, determining one's enslaved status based on their mother's labor status, as the legal method to determine whether an individual is enslaved or not. Some scholars, such as Jennifer L. Morgan, posit that it was actually Key's freedom suit that drove the Virginia House of Burgesses to create this law in the first place, a law that was also designed to discourage intimate interracial relations between Black and white people in the colonies. Virginia didn't just stop there. In 1705, Virginia passed another law dedicated to regulating the movement and behavior of enslaved people. It was called an Act Concerning Servants and Slaves. This act banned Black people from owning white servants and penalized those who presided over the marriage between a white and Black person. It banned enslaved people from owning weapons. Other laws around the same time banned Black people, regardless of their servitude status, from testifying against whites in court. You might think that in a country where those same colonists would soon be demanding freedom while espousing the importance of liberty and equality for themselves, that those same people would be a bit more, concerned about liberty and equality for everyone. But the truth is, America's promise and America's actions are very often inconsistent. Let's go to the thought bubble. In 1671, Maryland passed a law stating that even if an enslaved person converted to Christianity, that conversion did not change their servitude status. This was important because of the legal debate around whether Christians could be enslaved. In a place like South Carolina, well, they built a whole society around slave codes. They did it, as they all did, for both economic and societal reasons. These codes banned Black people from engaging in any type of trade, did not allow for enslaved folks to travel without notes from their enslaver, banned enslaved Black Americans from keeping loud instruments like drums and horns, and gave law enforcement the authority to search enslaved Black people and to whip them if they appeared to be engaging in what was deemed disorderly behavior. Many of these codes showed up after slave rebellions, when enslavers were particularly interested in protecting themselves and their property from enslaved people who wanted their freedom. And slave codes weren't just in the southern colonies. New York, for example, had their own set of these laws. A 1702 slave code in New York banned people from trading with enslaved people at all. It also prohibited 3 or more enslaved people from meeting together at the same time. From 1703 to 1704, Rhode Island banned the enslaved from being out after 9 o'clock at night unless they had what was deemed a lawful excuse. Pennsylvania, they also had infamous slave codes. Punishment for offenses committed by white and Black people could be deeply and even lethally unequal. While a certain offense committed by a white person might result with them being whipped or branded, a Black person charged with committing a similar offense might be killed. Thanks, Thought Bubble. White colonists worked overtime to make sure that the law was used to hurt and constrain Black Americans, just because of the color of their skin and their place in the American economy. In early colonial history, white indentured servants and enslaved Black people actually had somewhat similar positions in society. But as we've seen in this episode, that wouldn't last. Colonial governments created specific laws that would clearly and legally demarcate what rights a white person could have and which rights a Black person could have. Or perhaps, more appropriately, which rights they couldn't have. I'm sure that many people look at these laws and are appalled that such things ever passed. But it's important to note that While today such discrimination might not be explicitly stated in the language of the law itself, laws across the country have different implications and are often enforced differently based on someone's race. This impacts jobs and housing and our criminal legal system, our schools. The list goes on. Look